Oh man, the leftists, they paused all their hateful rhetoric for 24 hours. Way to go, left, man. And we've got some crazy things to tell you about audio forensics. All of that and more, guys. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Welcome to Southern Traditions. We're so glad you guys have joined us here where Southern Traditions presents the Southern Drawl podcast. Here we try every week and we fail miserably at leading sheeple to the truth. We're going to try again today. We'll see how it goes. Probably not going to go well, but first off, let's jump into one little thing that I just find astonishing. We are 1 week out from the Trump assassination, a little over 1 week. All these leftists were celebrating this attempt on our future 47th president. They discontinued this hate speech. 24 hours. You'd have think, left, you could have paused for a little longer as your president was calling for unity, but you didn't. 24 hours is all you gave the nation before you were right back on your hate train. What hate train? Well, let's look at Whoopi Goldberg. 3 days after President Trump was nearly assassinated, Whoopi Goldberg's again telling the nation, Donald Trump is the most dangerous thing in the world that United States politics could be facing. He's the most dangerous thing to American politics, not only to American politics, but to the American way of life. So Whoopi Goldberg comes out telling the viewers of The View, is that the right way to say that? I don't know. Telling the viewers not to fall for Kai Madison Trump's speech. This is a 17-year-old girl. She has no mindset for politics. All she's doing is speaking to the character of her grandfather. But listen to what Whoopi has to say. Whoopi says, do not fall for Kai Madison's speech. This 17-year-old girl spoke to delegates at the RNC to tell them that President Trump was just a normal grandpa. He gives her candy. He gives her soda. He does all those grandparent things that grandparents do. He's not this evil, horrible human being, or rather, as Whoopi puts it, not even human. No, Donald Trump is just a normal grandpa that dotes on his grandchildren, loves his family, and is trying to bring goodness to America. This is what Whoopi goes on to say. This 68-year-old actress and host of The View goes on to bash this 17-year-old girl who is just in love with her grandfather, just telling about how good of a man he is. She goes to say, I know this grandchild was up on the thing and they're trying to humanize President Trump and change your idea about who this guy is. Goldberg said, hold on a second. You heard me right, guys. Whoopi Goldberg does not believe that Donald Trump is even human.
I have a lot of faith in the American people. And I don't know very many men who want to be talked to the way that this man has been talking to men in his audience. I don't know any women, and I know his grandchild was up on the thing, and they're trying to humanize him and change your idea about who this guy is. Don't fall for that.
Trump, you're talking about. Yeah. Talking about Trump.
She criticizes a 17-year-old child for talking about how much she loves her grandfather. This man isn't even human, according to Whoopi. I gotta say, Whoopi, could you do America a favor? Stuff that forked tongue back between those nasty ass teeth of yours and stop spewing your poison all over the impressionable minds of Americans who don't know any better, because your rhetoric is hateful and disgusting and deplorable to the highest degree. Honestly, Whoopi, I loved Ghost, man. I did. Why do you have a career today? That part I'm confused about. You're not alone though, Whoopi. Whoopi, you're not alone. In fact, as we look to the masses, we look to the social media, we look to the mainstream fake news media, we look for what's being said out there, man. What's going on next? Which delusional leftist is going to start spewing their hate today? I'm really interested to know the answer to that question. Didn't take me long to figure it out. No, this comes straight from Ivy League University, Harvard University. Oh man, Harvard. I gotta say, guys, as an American who stands for American shit and American values and American freedom and America things, but shouldn't we consider about reallocating, leftist term, reallocating funds from these Ivy League schools, these communism factories, these one percenter producers? Harvard professor Alejandra Caraballo, however you pronounce it. Yeah, I really don't give a shit. A clinical instructor at Harvard Law School's Cyber Law Clinic appeared to compare Donald Trump to German dictator Adolf Hitler following the assassination attempt. These leftists, man, cold-blooded as they may. Shortly after the assassination attempt on July 13th, Caraballo posted on X, "Trump is going to use this as a Reichstag moment on the crackdown when he's elected." What Reichstag moment? What the hell does this even mean? Reichstag moment refers to a 1933 incident in which the German parliament, the Reichstag, caught fire. Hitler and the Nazi Party used the occasion as an excuse to solidify their hold on power and crush their political opponents. So this Harvard professional thinks that Trump's going to use this assassination attempt as a means or a moment to cease and take power from the United States and put us under his solid rule, under his heavy fist, under his Nazi power. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen at all. You know, you would think that somebody like this would not be able to state things like this, would not be able to make statements like this publicly in their career in such important roles such as a professor at Harvard University. This is where our law comes from. This is where our lawyers, our judges, they come from places like this communist factory. It's just a one-off. This never happened. This was just a misguided statement during a troubled time. Sure it was. Problem is, Mr. Caraballo is no stranger to this type of writing. In fact, in 2022, June 25th exactly, the day that Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, Caraballo encouraged followers to harass Supreme Court justices, writing, "The 6 justices who overturned Roe should never know peace again. It is our civic duty," according to Mr. Caraballo, Ivy League school professor at Harvard University, "it is our civic duty to accost them every time they are in public." I don't know what kind of parenting it takes to lead an individual to think that his goal in life should be assaulting Supreme Court judges because he does not agree with their verdicts. But Mr. Caraballo, you don't sound like an American, sir. Mr. Caraballo goes on in November of 2023 to sign on to a letter expressing frustration at Harvard's effort to fight against anti-Semitism following the October 7th massacre in Israel of Jewish people and civilians and children and women. And Mr. or Mrs. Caraballo because you know the left seems very confused about these things these days. Whichever you are, you do not seem to be the type of person that should be leading, especially law and criminal and law school people. You should not be leading anyone in the United States into politics, into legal, into pretty much anything, because it doesn't seem you know how this country should and is designed to work. Your hate speech seems to expose you. But they're not alone in their hate and their standing against Donald Trump. As I said last week, I believe that Kim Cheadle should resign. She should also be prosecuted, investigated for what happened to Donald Trump. I do believe that Kim Cheadle bears a lot of responsibility for what went on, being the director of the Secret Service. Kim Cheadle was the one in charge of how many people, what kind of resources were divulged to the Trump campaign, to these Trump rallies, to these Trump appearances. The Secret Service came out one day after the Trump shooting, claiming that the Trump administration were liars, completely categorically false. The Trump administration has never asked us for additional resources, and we have never denied them additional resources. Now, that was one day after the shooting. The Trump administration says we have asked on multiple occasions for additional resources from the Secret Service, additional protection, additional agents, additional equipment. Secret Service says that is a lie. Trump is lying to you. The problem is, the Secret Service has come out in the last couple of days and acknowledged that to be false. The same guy who said a week ago the Trump administration was lying to you, they've never asked us for additional resources, that's completely false. Well, that same guy comes out today and says, actually, yeah, they did ask us for some additional resources, and yeah, we did tell them no. Sorry. Let me tell you about that. The Washington Post reports today, the Secret Service, after initially denying turning down requests for additional security, is now acknowledging some may have been rejected. The revelation comes as agency veterans say the organization has been forced to make difficult decisions amid competing demands, a growing list of protectees, and limited funding. Sounds like DEI at its best, ladies and gentlemen. A gunman was able to fire off rounds from an AR-15 rifle from a rooftop about 150 yards away from the former president at the rally last Saturday. Trump was injured, as were two others. A man in the crowd was killed. The agency has been under scrutiny over security lapses at the rally. Trump advisors' anger deepened after an agency spokesman publicly denied that any request for additional security lodged by Trump or his detail had ever been rejected. They've never asked us, and we've never rejected them. Who says this? Well, Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle, who has been under pressure to resign over security lapses at the rally, repeated the denial in a meeting with Trump campaign leadership in Wisconsin this past Monday. The assertion that a member of the former president's security team requested additional security service or the Department of Homeland Security rebuffed is absolutely false, says a spokesman for the Secret Service in a statement on the day after the shooting. The day after the shooting. It's absolutely false, he says. However, after receiving detailed questions from the Washington Post, Googlio said the agency had learned new information, indicating the agency's headquarters may have in fact denied some requests for additional security from Trump's detail and was reviewing documentation to understand the specific interactions better. Look, this is the deal, guys. The Trump administration isn't lying to you. They're just telling you what's happening. It's the left that's lying to you. In the latest turn of events concerning the Secret Service, Guess who's resigning from their post as early as tomorrow? Well, that would be Kim Cheadle. I gotta say, guys, I called for this last week. I'm so excited that it's happening. Kim, you do not deserve the job. Resignation is a slap on the wrist for you. I hope they investigate you further because you deserve it. So guys, considering all of this that we've talked about, Kim Cheadle, the Secret Service, I got to thinking, could this be an inside job? Look, there's all these conspiracy theories going on around the internet and the interwebs right now. And I have done my absolute very, very best to avoid buying into any of this. You know, I like a conspiracy theory as much as the next guy. And if we're being honest, conspiracy theories are being proven to be less conspiracy and more truth the more we dig into 2024. But with that being said, I just did not, under any circumstances, want to buy into this idea that somehow the left or the 1% power elites or whoever, the cabal, I did not want to buy into this idea that this assassination attempt on President Trump was fabricated or orchestrated, rather, by power elites. I really believed that, especially in the beginning, that this whole thing just happened to be some misguided kid who's probably had a crappy upbringing, who was dug into politics and bought into all the hateful political rhetoric and took it upon himself to take action. However, let's just take a look at some of the details, because as this week has gone along, I have been absolutely unable to disregard or to overlook some of the details of this whole thing. What details, you may ask? Well, let's just talk about the shooter's behavior prior to July 13th. This shooter, we were led to believe he was just some abused little kid who had a crappy life. He was picked on in high school. He didn't get along with people very well, kept to himself, just an outcast altogether, right? That's what we were led to believe in the first few hours and even in the couple of days that followed the shooting. But when we get to looking more and more at the details of this shooter's life, turns out actually, no, he actually had a pretty good reputation in school. He was considered to be very smart, very personable. He was an honor student. He tried out for the rifle club, apparently, allegedly, I must say, because I don't know that to be 100% fact, but according to reports, he did try out for the rifle club in school. He got denied because he wasn't a good enough shooter, apparently, but that didn't deter him. After he left school, he joined a gun range or a gun club or some sort of shooting establishment, which I think is a great thing for most Americans. But in this particular case, this individual joined a club where he was able to practice his ability to shoot up to 200 yards. This rifle range had a range of 200 yards. I'm not coming down on the rifle range or any of the people that shoot there. Not at all. I think it's a great thing that you're doing. However, it just go to show that this individual was not completely devoid of knowledge concerning firearms. I mean, we all do know that he did follow Matt Carricker's Demolition Ranch channel, which I don't believe is a bad thing as well. In fact, we love Matt Carricker. We love Demolition Ranch. We don't believe that this comes down on them in any way at all, in a negative way. This would be the same as if he wore a Southern Tradition shirt to the shooting. I would be devastated, but I did not condone this, and I would not condone this. Neither would Matt Carricker, who is very much an apolitical channel, even though a lot of you leftists want to call it a right-wing gun channel. No. The thing I keep coming back to is that it seems as if this shooter had a lot more going on than what we're being told. And as we're being fed the details, I'm going, some of this doesn't add up to what they originally told us. We were led to believe this kid was picked on in high school. He was a victim of bullying. He was an outcast. He didn't have much going for him. He wasn't, all this just to say, in the days that have followed, we've learned he had explosives in his car. He had a plan. He had a detonator in his pocket. I think his plan, it seems like to me, was fire his shots, explode his explosives for a diversionary tactic, and then escape, right? I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows? But as we dig in even further, we find out actually he was a part of a rifle range, and he shot there regularly. Actually, he had more than one cell phone. He had a cell phone on him at the time of the shooting, but he also had a cell phone at his home that was essentially classified as a burner phone. Only had about 20 contacts on it, and as of the latest reports, they still haven't ran down all the contacts on that phone or how they were affiliated with the shooter. He had plans of wearing body armor, though I'm told he left that in his car. He had a ladder that he went and purchased that day. I know there's reports that say there was no ladder found on scene, but I've also seen reports saying there was a ladder on scene that allowed him access to the roof. Either way, whichever, he did purchase a ladder. He had a plan. What else? He posted on a gaming website, Saturday, July 13th is my big debut. Watch live as it unfolds. Seems to me that he intended for people to participate in this and enjoy and watch what he was doing. He seemed to think that what he was doing was a good thing and would be supported. He called in to his job to not only say, hey, I've got some important stuff going on Saturday. Can I get someone to cover my shift for Saturday and I'll pick up their shift on Sunday? He did that, and he switched shifts with someone. He aligned coverage for his Saturday shift, and he intended to be present on Sunday. Why? Well, it seems to me that he assumed he was going to survive this event. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the majority of us, regular people, would think, well, I mean, if you're radical enough to think that you're going to go into a presidential rally with a gun and do terroristic shit, you're probably not coming out of there alive. I would not intend or even expect that if I were to try to pull a stunt like this, that I would survive the incident. I don't think that would be even a reasonable thought in my mind. I don't think I would survive that. That would be a suicide mission. But Mr. Crooks didn't seem to view it as a suicide mission. He seemed to view it as this thing I have to do. It's very important. It's going to be my big debut. Tune in, check it out, get ready to be excited. I'll see you on Sunday. Mr. Crooks also had 3 encrypted accounts overseas in countries that from what I've read, I'm gathering that the United States is having difficulty getting information on. Are these bank accounts? Are these, I don't know what kind of accounts these are. I assume they're bank accounts, but the United States government is having a hard time getting information on these accounts because they're in countries that don't necessarily divulge a lot of information to us. With all this being said, the more I look into Mr. Crook's behavior and just everything he had going on, the more I am compelled to say, something's not adding up here. Something doesn't make sense. This individual seemed to believe that what he was doing was for a good purpose, as if he had been led to do this, as if he had been told where to go, as if he had been told where there would be no sniper teams or no law enforcement, as if he had been told, don't worry, you'll survive this. Secret Service will not pull a trigger or shoot at you. You'll be fine. Just do what we tell you. And I go, come on, man. Come on, man. That can't be the case. It can't be. That's not what's going on here. Surely not. I mean, who would do this? The left? I mean, I know the left is corrupt. Whoopee. But I don't think they would pull this kind of a stunt. Not this kind of a stunt. I mean, this is out there. This is way out there. Then I go and I find a video entitled, audio forensics proves the White House is lying to us. Guys, if you will just Google, YouTube, however you look things up, just search for audio forensics about Trump assassination. Audio forensics, Trump assassination. I think that will probably pull up all the information you need to know. But I did this. Guys, this video is created by individuals who are not only very accomplished and very reputable audio technicians when it comes to video editing, but they're also long-range shooters, long-range marksmen, competition shooters. These guys have paired up together, they have linked up together, a group of them, to analyze the audio forensics concerning the shots. And you say, well, I mean, how did they do that? I mean, how could you do that? I mean, why isn't the government doing this? Hey, I ask myself the same question, if I'm being honest. Why isn't the government doing this? Well, let me just tell you what this video reveals. In the course of their analytics, essentially what they do is they take the audio file, okay, and they lay it on a audio track on a sound editing software. We do this when we edit our videos. We do the same thing. What you can do, so as you look at the audio track, it presents all these little peaks and valleys, and you get all these little waves and bumps, and all that represents different volumes and different intensities in sound, okay? The point is, during the Trump rally on July 13th, there was a Fox News camera sitting right in front of the podium. This camera was focused and fixated on Trump at the podium. As the shots started ringing out, the camera angle never moved, never changed, never deviated. So what that means is that this camera angle, as well as the microphones that were recording sound, were capturing all of the sound that was going on in the area from one location. Right here. This microphone is capturing all the sound going on. No matter what happens over the course of all that chaos, that microphone never moved. It captured all the sound from that point. So what that tells you is, if we analyze those sounds, we can deduce that some spikes in the sound, primarily the gunshots, if you look at the sound waves, the gunshots create two sounds. Each gunshot will create a crack as the bullet breaks the sound barrier. And it will also, that cracking sound will outrun the sound of the muzzle report. That's the sound of the gunshot itself, the powder exploding like a firecracker. So you hear crack. That is essentially the way a gunshot sounds. It sounds that way when I'm hunting in the woods, guys. I sit in a deer stand and my neighbor 700-800 yards away shoots a deer. It scares the crap out of me. I nearly jump out of my stand because I hear crack, and I hear that sound and I understand what's happening. He has just fired a shot. I hear the crack of the bullet breaking the sound barrier, which gets to me first. And then I hear the sound of the report of the muzzle following behind. It's very quick, usually. Really quick. And if you analyze the first 3 to 5 shots, I think it's the first 5, I could be wrong, guys. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you will just Google audio forensics for Trump shooting, you will see these videos and you'll get a better perspective. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is, as I watch these videos, the first 3 to 5 shots are without a doubt, according to the audio forensics. So let me get back to how they analyze this. You get a crack and it's a spike in the audio, and then you get the report and it's another spike in the audio. So they're separated by a timeline. In between there is people screaming and stuff going on, right? But those two sounds you can analyze from point to point, peak to peak, the distance between those two sounds. That distance represents a time space. And then if you measure that time space and then just do a little basic algebra / trigonometry, because I do believe it's more trigonometry than it is algebra, you can analyze just by factoring in the speed of sound, the travel of a bullet, feet per second of your average bullet, your average rounds. You can kind of ballpark judge how far away that shot was when it was fired from the microphone that recorded it. That microphone was in front of Trump by about 50 yards, directly in front of him. So the distance between him and that microphone is negligible, essentially. That microphone recorded multiple shots, 8, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 8 shots in total. The first 5 of those shots came from the same distance, a distance of about 350 to 400 yards, give or take. 350 to 400 yards puts those first 5 shots at precisely the same distance that Mr. Crooks was laying on a building trying to kill our president. I do believe that those first 5 shots were fired from Crooks himself. However, shot number 6 is mathematically proven to come in at 800 feet away from that microphone. 800 feet. Now, I just want to address something. A lot of people have been reporting that they believe, according to this video that has been posted online, that there was a shooter on top of the water tower. The water tower happens to be situated about another 250 to 300 feet behind Crooks, maybe a little more, give or take. Here's what's intriguing. I looked at the water tower video. Guys, I am trying everything in my power not to believe in this idea. I like to believe that we are a greater nation than a nation that politically tries to murder its opponents. I like to believe its political opponents. I like to believe that the rich elite 1%ers that conduct and puppet our world aren't really conducting and puppeting our world to that degree like we sometimes joke about. But guys, the more I read the facts and the stuff that's coming out, the more I'm inclined to believe we are being lied to, we have been swindled, and we are being puppeted by the rich elite 1% evil world system. According to algebra and trigonometry, what this means is the first 5 shots came from a distance of about 400 feet. That's roughly 130, 150 yards. The 6th shot comes in from a distance of 800 feet. This idea of the water tower actually seems plausible now. Why? Because if you measure the distance from the water tower to the point where that microphone for Fox News would have been positioned, it comes in at 803 feet. 803 feet. I like to think that there was no one near or on top of that water tower that was doing anything on that day. But the audio forensics just seems to suggest otherwise. But that's not the only one. No, the 7th shot. The 7th shot comes in at a distance, per the math, at 1,400 feet away from the microphone. 1,400 feet! 1,400 feet! Guys, the 7th shot was a whole nother distance away. To suggest that Crooks fired 7 shots and then Secret Service fired 1 shot and killed him. That's what we're being told by the White House, by the mainstream media, and by the Secret Service. Crooks fired 7 shots, and then Secret Service fired 1 shot that brought him down. These are LIE lies. This is not the truth. 5 shots were fired by crooks. A 6th shot was fired from 800 feet away, and seconds later, a 7th shot was fired from approximately 1,400 feet away. Now understand, these distances are approximate, but they are very close according to the math. 1,400 feet away. That would suggest that whoever fired the 7th shot wasn't even on the grounds. They were outside of where the water tower was. They were outside altogether. They possibly were across the street from where this entire venue was being held. There are locations, however, that show and prove to be possible shooting perspectives or shooting points for those distances. One of which being a Kubota dealer that seems to be a Kubota dealer. Forgive me if I'm wrong, if that's not Kubota. It does look like Kubota tractors. They're orange. This Kubota dealer has a contoured roof that comes down into a V, but it's 2 arches and a V. That rooftop, whether you're on this side of the roof or that side of the roof, or you're right in the middle, both of those locations, even the one in the middle, they all provide ample line of sight, unobstructed line of sight to Donald J. Trump and to the shooter, Crooks. Well, why is this relevant? These shots came in late. Donald Trump was already down on the ground and covered up. And I mean, these last 2 shots you're talking about, shots 6 and 7, who even cares? Why do they even matter? It's a good question. I thought about that myself. If Trump's already down, covered up by Secret Service, who are you shooting at? What are you shooting at? Why haven't there been reports of these shots? Why haven't there been reports of where those shots would have went? There had to be bullets, bullet holes, something, some evidence to show there were shots fired from other locations. I think it's no mystery as to why the Secret Service and the DOJ and whoever the hell else is investigating this whole matter are not reporting to us, not releasing to us, not disclosing to us, the American people, the details regarding the spent cartridges that the shooter fired. I think that's because there's only going to be 5 of them, and there were 8 shots fired, apparently. I haven't gotten to the 8th shot yet, but I will. Why they haven't talked more about how this all went down? Why did they tell us that 1 shot was fired from Secret Service, even though we're able to prove that there were multiple distances where these bullets came from? And surely Crooks didn't advance from 400 feet to 800 feet to 1,400 feet in a matter of seconds. So how did this happen? Where did these shots come from? Who pulled the trigger? Who else was there? There were 4 sniper teams, we found out, but only one of them is attributed with taking a shot. And that's the one that's claimed to have killed Crooks. And that is the last shot that comes in, really, really late. One of the Secret Service sniper teams fired that last shot. That absolutely makes sense. Lines up with the forensics, lines up with the details. But the 2 before it do not. Why isn't that being talked about? Why aren't we investigating it? Now, I get it. Why would these people do this? What's the motive? I mean, is there any reason at all that we should think that these highly elite, super freaking privileged billionaires, trillionaires would want to pull a stunt like this? Probably not. It's all relevant. It all should alert, and not only alert, but absolutely trouble the average American to the core. It brings to mind a song that I just had the privilege and, oh my goodness, the blessing of enjoying and hearing. This song was written, produced, published, music video made, the whole 9 yards, released to the masses in less than 12 hours after Donald Trump was attempted to be offed. Well, I'll just say this. If you want to know how I feel about things, check in with my boy Tom. Tom will tell you exactly how Brandon feels. about all of this bullshit. Who am I talking about? Who's Tom? Tom MacDonald. Tom MacDonald, an artist, a huge artist, by the way. He is topping the charts on everything he does. Everything he does is turning to gold. This guy is on top of it all, man. He is speaking my mind. He's speaking my heart. And, you know, some of you might say, Tom MacDonald, he's full of hate. He's full of this. He's a racist. You know what? Say what you will. But until you listen to his music, until you listen to the points he's making, I don't really care what you have to say, just like he doesn't. With that being said, guys, enjoy this right now. I'm gonna give you a little clip of his newest song, his latest song, the newest one that's come out. It come out right after this assassination attempt. And I believe with my heart that it speaks the heart of a lot of us Americans today. Enjoy this little clip of You Missed by Tom MacDonald. And when you're done, go and check out Tom MacDonald, subscribe, share his music, like, comment, whatever you gotta do. Do all the things that you should do, all those things. And while you're at it, hey, like and subscribe and share our video as well. Enjoy. You Missed.
They burning the country down with their progressiveness. It started with changing what gender is, then graduated to you're racist if you think that your life matters and your skin don't have melanin. They don't want peace, they want skeletons. They want men to pretend that they're feminine. They don't want an election, they got so offended by freedom that they just try killing the president. I used to think that the woke were misguided, but now I can see that they're evil. Twitter is angry that Trump isn't dead. You know who got shot? Innocent people. Thought y'all were tolerant, thought we were equals. I thought you valued how everyone feels. Then why are y'all celebrating an attempted assassination like you're part of Antifa? Thank God the left can't aim. Thank God the right don't riot. Welcome to the home of the brave. Freedom ain't afraid of violence. You wish you was dying? Bitch, you missed. Thank God the left can't aim. Why can't we just shoot straight? Y'all are going insane. Bitch, you missed. There's no one else you can blame. Tried to lock him up in a cage. Now you trying to kill what you hate. Bitch, you missed.
My goodness, guys. Yes! In America, you don't get to mess with us. This is the way it is, guys. You attack our president, you attack us. That's just the way it is, man. And guess what? You missed. And we're gonna bring it back to you in November in the form of a bunch of red votes, man. We're gonna swarm the ballot boxes with red votes. So know that's coming. Hey, till then, guys, that's all we have today. That is all we have for you this week. We will be back next week where we will bring to you the Southern Drawl podcast. Here is Southern Traditions, guys. Please like, subscribe. More than anything, subscribe and share. We need these views to go out. We need this truth to go out. Guys, we love you. We're here for you. If you've got comments, leave them below. We'd love to talk to you about it. If you agree with us, leave your comments. If you don't agree with us, that's fine too, man. Like, listen, leave your comments. We're happy to discuss the things that you want to discuss. We're happy to discuss your difference in viewpoints. We're happy to give you a voice and hear you out. We may not agree with you. We are pretty much set in our ways. We do believe what we believe for very good reasons. But we will always hear you out. We will never turn you away for your viewpoints. We will always hear you out and try to understand your perspective. Guys, listen, we love you. We thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week on the Southern Drawl podcast here on Southern Traditions. Until then, we'll see you then. Peace.